Good evening and welcome to the Carnegie Town Hall. The regular meeting of the City Planning Commission will be called to order and we will begin with a few introductory remarks. The City of Sioux Falls Planning Commission serves as the advisory board to the City Council. It is a responsibility of the Planning Commission to consider and make recommendation on land use and zoning matters. Conditional use permits and minor amendment requests will have final action here this evening, unless appealed to the City Council in writing within 5 days. Any decision made on preliminary subdivision plans or future land use amendment requests tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the third council meeting of the month. Any decision made on rezoning requests, major amendments, or ordinance amendments tonight will be referred to the City Council for final action at the first council meeting of the month. Council meetings are held at 7 p.m. here in the Carnegie Town Hall and are televised. Any action taken here tonight on a final development plan is final. The Planning Commission will first approve the consent agenda and then the regular agenda. In order to place certain non-controversial items on the Commission's consent agenda, planning staff and the Planning Commission applies the following criteria. First, the request conforms with the City 2015 Land Use Plan. Second, the planning staff recommends approval of the request. And third, there are no audience members present or written comments received in opposition to the request. And fourth, the application meets all conditions and requirements of the ordinance. Once the consent agenda items are approved, you are free to leave. For the regular agenda, the following normal public hearing procedure will be followed. By first requesting planning staff to present a brief report on each item. Second, the petitioner will be requested to come forward and make a statement or answer questions. After the petitioner, anyone from the audience who wishes to address a particular agenda item shall be recognized. Then, the Planning Commission will discuss the matter further and take appropriate action. We ask that anyone addressing the Planning Commission other than staff move to the podium microphone, identify themselves, and state their address for the record. Please limit your comments to less than 5 minutes. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, we ask you please either turn off or silence your cell phone and pager. This meeting is being televised on Channel 16 and will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., Tuesday at 7 p.m., and Wednesday at 1 a.m. Thank you for your cooperation.
Is that better? Thank you for coming. I'd just like to reiterate one of the last comments and just make sure that your cell phone is turned off, if you would, please. I'll now read the items on the consent agenda for tonight's meeting. Approval of September 2nd, 2009 minutes of the regular meeting. Number 2 is plats. Number 3, 2009-07-13, a rezone from unzoned property vacated right-of-way to the I-1 Light Industrial District for allowed uses at North Cliff Avenue, adjacent to 1009 West Amadon Street. Number 4, 2009-09-02, a major amendment to Subarea B of the Merlin Royce Planned Development District to add permitted uses of the I-1 district to sub-area regulations at East 34th Street North and North Potsdam Avenue. Number 5, 2009-09-14, a major amendment to sub-area B of the Heather Ridge 2 Planned Development District to change underlying zoning district from RA1 residential to RD residential district at Southwestern Avenue and West 85th Street. Number 6, 2009-09-15, a rezone from unzoned to the RC Recreation Conservation District for allowed uses north of 200 East 8th Street. Number 7, 2009-09-16, a rezone from unzoned property to the Raven Industries Planned Development District for allowed uses between 201 and 203 East 6th Street. Number 8, 2009-09-17, a rezone from unzoned property to the C3 Central Business District for allowed uses south of 230 East 8th Street. Number 9 has been deferred. It was the conditional use permit in the RA1 residential district to allow off-site parking within 300 feet of the primary use at 619 South Phillips. Once again, that one has been deferred. Number 10, 2009-08-16, a special use permit in Sub-Area A of the Raven Industries Planned Development District to allow a full-service restaurant within 100 feet of residential uses at 196 East 6th Street. Number 11, 2009-09-03, conditional use permit in the C4 Planned Commercial District to allow off-sale alcohol within 500 feet of a secondary school at 900 North Sycamore. Number 12, 2009-09-10, conditional use permit in the C2 General Commercial District to allow a truck wash at the southeast corner of West 60th Street North and North Westport Avenue. Number 13, 2009-09-07, a minor amendment in Sub-Area A of the Tuscany Village Planned Development District to allow a front yard setback reduction from 25 feet to 20 feet at East 73rd Street and South Cliff Avenue. Number 14, 2009-09-09, a minor amendment in Sub-Area D of the Shadow Creek Planned Development District to allow to approve the master parking plan as submitted and to allow unpaved surface parking until September 1st, 2013 at East 69th Street and South Cliff Avenue. Did that make sense? Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to approve the consent agenda with the deferral of item number 9.
Is there a second?
I second it, ma'am.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda has been approved. Okay, now we'll move on to the regular agenda.
Madam Chair, my name is Steve Randall with planning staff. We have a request for deferral of item 19 on the regular agenda, and the petitioners for items 15 and 20 have requested that their applications be withdrawn.
Okay, any questions of Steve? Is there a motion
Madam Chair?
to? Yes.
Did you say 15 and 20?
Yes.
Yes.
20?
Well, 15, has been withdrawn, 20 deferred, and 19 deferred, and 20 withdrawn.
Thank you, Steve.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the regular agenda, please?
So moved with the deferral of item number 15, withdrawal of item 19, deferral of item 19 and withdraw of item 20.
Okay. Is there a second?
And it should be a withdrawal of item 15, not a deferral.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
I'm not sure what I said.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, regular agenda has been approved. Number 15 has been withdrawn, so number 16. Staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, again, my name is Steve Randall. I'll be representing staff on this item and other items this evening. Item 16 is a request from Stansel Corporation. The owner is Krause Holdings Incorporated from Des Moines. And the application is to add multifamily residential uses to the commercial uses presently allowed in the sub-area at 41st Street and Sertoma Avenue Planned Development District. This is a 3.27 acre site as identified in your site plan exhibit. Currently, the use is vacant. However, it is located next to an existing Walgreens store and a come-and-go station along 41st Street. To the north side of the property, we have existing single-family residential in the RS2 residential district. On the south side, it's outside the city in an agricultural zone. To the east, it's S Institutional. It's actually Roosevelt High School to the east of the subject property. And to the west, it's 41st Street and Sertoma Avenue PD, Ace Hardware, and vacant property behind Ace Hardware. The subject property was rezoned to a planned development district in 1994 as a major amendment to allow expanded commercial and office uses. The Ace Hardware store was constructed in 2003. A convenience store was constructed in 2005, and Walgreens store went in 2006, so it's been a pretty active area. The initial development plan that the applicant has provided us with indicates the intent to develop an apartment complex on the subject property. They have described the proposed land uses, the density, the setbacks, the height, and design features. In the process of reviewing the application, staff recommended that the applicant spend some time with the neighbors, have a neighborhood meeting. Because of the history of this area, the neighbors are very involved in what gets developed on the property. The applicant did have a neighborhood meeting and has come forward with a report that is included in your addendum packet this evening. It indicates the results of a neighborhood meeting held on October 3rd at the Reserve Clubhouse in southern Sioux Falls, and indicates a list of agreements with the neighbors on the north side of the subject property for the project to be developed to their satisfaction. Basically, what they're looking for is a project that would be compatible with their use of their property as single-family residential. The applicant has indicated that agreements were reached, and they're in the process of working out those agreements that could be put into the sub-area regulations, which would then govern any final development plan that comes back before you for approval. Staff is in agreement with that process and supports the agreement that they've reached with the neighborhood and is recommending approval of the major amendment to allow the use. That was the primary concern of staff, is that they meet with the neighborhood, come to an agreement as to what should be done, and include that in the sub-area regulations for a final development plan to come back to you. We've had no calls on this as a staff, and I think because the applicant did a good job in meeting with the neighbors and working things out. And that concludes staff report.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions of Steve?
Madam Chair, Steve, this is a preliminary plan we're looking at tonight.
That's
with
correct.
a final plan to follow. Would that be in 30 days at our next meeting?
Yep.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Steve, how do the conditions within this letter fall into the amendment tonight?
They will be added, the conditions will be added to the PD sub-area regulations, which are being revised as a major amendment to allow the apartment use. Presently, the PD only allows commercial uses in there and would not allow the apartments. So the applicant is requesting that they be allowed to develop apartments on the site. And the conditions that they have reached with the neighbors would be included then in the sub-area regulations as revised. Those would go forward to the City Council then for their approval. Staff is presently working with the applicant to make sure those get included. We've included in your addendum here what the applicant is presenting to you as the agreements with the neighborhood for your consideration this evening. And perhaps they can answer any questions about those when they come forward.
So, Steve, we can anticipate when we get the final development plan that these items will all be part of the sub-area regs.
That's correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I think, Steve, with being in a PD, once we look at the final development plan, is that then final? And
Yes.
I don't think council then takes a look at this, do they, in a PD?
No.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions of Steve? Thank you, Steve. Is the applicant present?
Hello, Nathan Stencil, Stencil Corporation, 325 South First Avenue.
Any questions of Nate?
Madam Chair?
Sure.
Nathan? The meeting went well.
Yeah, it went very well. We handed out 24 invitations, which would have covered the street behind, I guess north of the property there is Rosemont Lane. So all the homes on both sides, probably to about that point, or maybe one further where your red line. Yep. And then the whole other side, and then all over Rosemont Circle. Those are the 24 people we invited to the meeting. We had people, or probably about 12 people, but representing 7 different households at the meeting last Saturday. And they had quite a few concerns, and obviously that's why we wanted to have the meeting. I feel that we, through our conversations, came up with some good things to help with their concerns. I believe there's only one of the neighbors here tonight, but of course we just drafted up that letter, and our agreement with them, of course, is that we're going to get this put into the PD, and then also we're going to get a legal document drafted up so that the homeowners and us have an understanding of what we're going to do and what the timeline is on it.
Thank you. We appreciate you working with the neighbors in such fashion. Yep.
Any other questions of Mr. Stencil? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Anyone in the audience wishing to address this item?
I'm Lisa Christensen, 7113 West Rosemont Lane.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Lisa Christensen, 7113 West Rosemont Lane.
Okay.
It looks like the Stencils have a wonderful project here, but my concern is the traffic flow in the area. Right now, Theodore is coming into 41st Street. It's only 2-lane, and 41st Street is only 2-lane there. And then the other access directly out would be behind the come and go, and then that's only a direction to go south and turning south. My concern is that the traffic flow won't really work with that many people coming into the neighborhood, so they'll come around on our street, which is Rosemont, which is just north of the proposed development. Right now, every day we have kids from Roosevelt High School parking on our street on both sides, and it pretty much just leaves a wide single lane through there. And at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's pretty tight. So the pressures of the additional cars are my concern in this area. Thank you.
Do you want to just wait just a moment? Does anyone have any questions of Lisa?
Lisa, I'm trying to remember on that corner, is that just a stop sign, or is there a light there?
There is a stop sign.
Just a
and
stop
it's
sign?
got an uphill incline. In fact, I drove that way tonight to get here, and the visibility is kind of tough, too.
Maybe we can visit with staff here in a minute about engineering. Typically, we'll take a look at this
Sure.
also.
Okay.
Is there anything else with the project that would bother you as a neighbor?
Well, the only other thing is their proposed playground area was where they were going to put their drainage pond. Now, we've only had this property for 3 years, and the neighbors tell me that before they did the berm that there was really water issue. And, you know, some people would even take out sections of their fence to have all the water flow through. And we've got some pump in my basement, and it runs quite often, so I'm really concerned about that angle, too.
Lisa, I think one of the things that they'll do on a final plan is have engineering
Okay.
review and take a look at this.
They'll do reports.
Our experience with this company has been good. I mean,
Okay.
they typically try to do a good job and be a good neighbor.
That's good.
And we'll see if we can get some questions answered for you on
Thank you.
your traffic issue. Thank you.
Lisa, I'm curious, did you attend the neighborhood meeting?
Yes, I did.
You did, okay. Are you representing some more of your neighbors, or?
Just me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised there aren't more of them here.
I am too. I am too, but, we had this letter of understanding that they delivered back to us, and I really didn't feel that the traffic was more than a concern. Actually, it's a fear of mine. There's a lot of young families on our street, and if that additional traffic is coming around to get, through all the congestion, that's a concern.
Okay, well, let's see if we can get some questions answered. Thank you very much. Anyone else wanting to ask a question of Lisa? Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Okay, anyone else in the audience wishing to address this? Okay, Ken, did you want
Madam Chair,
staff?
would it be possible to talk to Stephen?
Sure.
One more time? Stephen, when planning analyzes and takes a look at a plan like this, has this went through the engineering process yet, as far as having the engineering look at this?
It's been through what we call an agency review meeting where the engineers take a look at it, the fire department, police department, health department, and so on. We all get together for a meeting after the applications come in, review the plans. No concerns on their part for traffic safety or problems came forth. That's why these testimonies are important, I guess, to point out possible problems. And as they are pointed out, then, of course, the engineers will take another look at it. I couldn't say about the stop sign situation, whether that would be warranted for a traffic signal as far as that goes. It sounds like 41st Street hasn't been fully improved at that intersection yet, so that might, alleviate some of those problems.
I don't think it has been fully improved at that intersection yet, has it?
No.
I think that's on the CIP for 3 years, 3 to 5,
Could be.
I think it's 2012.
2012. Typically, will traffic take a look at this and say this project went in there and it created traffic problems, would they have an outlet to be able to contact engineering, traffic, explain their concerns? I know that traffic typically will keep an eye on accidents as far as stop sign usage and such like that, but
Certainly that's a consideration. I know in the past at other high school locations where neighborhoods have had experiences with parking problems because of the students parking on their streets and walking over to school, that the city has tried to step in and remedy the situation. I think at Lincoln High School that was the case, and provided additional parking and tried to help that neighborhood get out from under that problem with the streets.
I can't picture this perfectly, but it seems like it's a ways from Roosevelt. It seemed like it'd be a bit of a walk for the kids to park up there.
I don't know.
Not that far.
Must be a problem, though.
Has anyone complained before about that? I mean, that you know of?
Not that I know of.
Is this the high school?
High school's right here. Okay. Just across the street.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
Steve, I think it's important to also recognize that if this were to develop commercially, you might have the same or even more traffic to deal with, depending upon the type of project.
That could be. Of course, commercial and residential uses are different in their hours of busyness,
Right.
I think. But certainly the traffic engineering and streets department would take a look at any situation like that and try to help with improvements, either in signage or turning lanes or whatever is necessary to help out on the situation.
Steve, her other concern regarding water drainage, I know that's something that in a final development plan, engineering is certainly going to take a close look at, because they can't run off more water than what would normally.
That is one of the comments in the staff report, that the drainage engineer did comment that the applicant is going to have to work with them on the drainage situation. There is a BMP in the area right now. The question is capacity and the flow off this particular site. But that comes with the final development plan. And noting that that is a concern, we will certainly require that study be done before it comes back to you.
If this were passed, Lisa would certainly have access to that final development plan, certainly have an opportunity to come here again at the next meeting, and if she still has some concerns regarding it.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions of Steve? Thank you, Steve. Okay, if not, I will call for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to approve the major amendment.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor of item 16 passing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 16 passes.
Madam Chair, I did want to make a comment. I'd encourage the stencil group to maybe get this lady's number and kind of work through it with her just a little bit as we go through the final development plan.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Ken. Okay, item 17. A major amendment to Sub-Area A of the Valhalla Plan Development District to add telecommunications facility as permitted use at 4100 West Valhalla Boulevard.
The applicant is Kurt Walter, agent for Verizon Wireless, and the owner is represented by Kurt Kapp, Vice President, Hubble Realty Company in Des Moines. The purpose of this application is to allow construction of a telecommunication facility and tower, which is 75 foot high, on the subject property. The subject property is actually a sub-area of the planned development. It's 11.2 acres. The application to allow the use includes a concept plan for siting the facility, indicates the appearance of and nature of the tower. To the north of the subject property, it's the Sioux Empire Mall, vacant parcels. And to the south, there is multifamily residential in the Valhalla PD. To the east, it's office development in the Valhalla PD, and to the west, it's RA1 residential. Actually zoned for that, but it's regional stormwater detention use. The intent of these major amendments is to make sure that whatever the allowed use is would be compatible with existing uses and also not create an adverse impact, especially in terms of design review districts. You notice that design review district standards will be applied to this particular project. At the present time, they're only asking for permission to allow the use on the property. They will come back to you with a final development plan application and a design district review application as well. Staff is recommending approval as a compatible use with the high-density apartments and the commercial development across the street. We would like to add into the sub-area regulations, as indicated into your report, other regulations for sub-area B should be included as the additional use regulation and requirements of the zoning ordinance for telecommunication towers, as well as the conditional use regulations of the same zoning ordinance for telecommunication towers and antenna support structures. The reason for that is that this is not a conventional zoning district, and it would not be guided or governed by those conventional zoning regulations unless they're included in the sub-area regulations, and that's why we've done that. You've seen these applications before. You know what the considerations are for screening the base of the tower, making the tower appearance compatible with the adjacent uses. One additional requirement of the conditional use regulations, when it's affected by a design review district, it has to be a monopole design, and that's what the applicant is showing you this evening. It is not an antenna support structure or flagpole, as we like to call it. On other types of applications, it is a monopole telecommunications tower design. I think we haven't had any calls on this, no concerns expressed to staff anyway, and staff is recommending approval with the PD sub-area regulations as presented to you this evening. That concludes staff report.
Okay, any questions of Steve?
Madam Chair, Steve, I know we're modifying or amending the sub-area A, but does it also make sense to insert in some way a spacing requirement so we don't end up with two towers in this sub-area?
It is a large enough site that that would be a reasonable addition to the sub-area regulations if you wish to make that.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Steve? Okay, thank you, Steve. Is the applicant present?
Good evening. My name is Kurt Walter from Rochester, Minnesota. I do represent Verizon Wireless on this project. Be here to answer any questions you guys have.
Madam Chair, Kurt, would a spacing limitation of a half mile affect your future plans?
Not being the RF engineer on this project, I'm not sure if a half a mile. This is a very, I don't know. How about that? It's a very dense area, and what we're trying to cover here is the mall and the local areas, the highway traffic and stuff. So I don't think it would be, but our next nearest tower that handles this area is just north of 41st Street, and this is on 49th. So this should cover the mall fairly well. I don't think a half mile would be a problem.
Yeah. Our fear, obviously, is that we get too many of these too close together.
Absolutely.
And so I may propose that added stipulation.
Like I said, I don't know. I'd hate to represent Verizon Wireless and say, sure, what the heck? But I don't know if it's going to affect us at
Kurt
all.
Meredith is our troublemaker.
It's one in every group. No. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Kurt? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wishing to address this item? If not, I will call for a motion.
Madam Chair, I would make the motion to approve the major amendment with the addition of a stipulation in those sub-area regulations to limit the spacing of these facilities to half a mile.
Okay, is there a second?
Madam Chair, I'd second that motion with the amendments as stated by Meredith.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 17 passes. Item 18, 2009-09-01, a conditional use permit in the RS2 residential district to allow office as an accessory use to an assisted living center at 100 North Sycamore Avenue. Staff report?
Now, the applicants are Joe Ward and Charlie Ward of Ward Enterprises. This is an assisted living complex that currently the existing property is not included in the conditional use permit that allows the assisted living. So the purpose of this application this evening is to get the subject property included in that conditional use, and for what purpose? The purpose that they've requested is to take an existing single-family residential structure on the property and convert it into an office that would be an accessory use to the assisted living complex. They have no other plans indicated for the rest of the property, and actually by limiting the conditional use to the use of the existing structure for an office, they would have to come back to you for any other future modifications to that property as an assisted living complex. We've had no calls on this application. Staff is recommending approval. And that concludes staff report.
Okay, any questions of Steve? Okay, thank you, Steve. Is the applicant present?
My name is Terry Veldhaus. I'm at 4304 East 16th Street in Sioux Falls. I'm representing Ward Enterprises in this application. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have. I'd also like to say that I'm pleased and proud to be able to get you guys out of here this early.
Are you glad to be the last one on the agenda?
I could be the last guy at like 7:45, but
Probably never see that
is
again.
this on tape somehow?
Any questions of Terry?
How could we possibly vote against Terry after that?
Got a lot of questions? You got any?
I guess not. Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Terry. Anyone in the audience wishing to address this item? If not, I'll call for a motion.
I'll move for approval of item 18 with the 2 stipulations.
And I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor of item 18, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 18 passes. Item 19 has been deferred. Item 20 has been withdrawn. And the next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Motion for adjournment?
Second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.